you lot locked in. I appreciate all the members, subscribers, and the rest of it, people. I do appreciate it, man. Yes, just bless some good South African outdoor. Come on, DG, make my day off with a good player link, bro. I wish I could. I'm not in charge of writing articles, buying players. All I can do is comment, my bro. And if that's what you're here for, then hopefully I can provide you some value. If not, I apologize. There is 200 of you locked in. Please make sure you've hit the like button, because 200 the target. There's 210 in you. If you lot stop being stingy, we've hit the target, what we're designing to do with the likes. Daniel said, personally, I think Neves is absolutely class. This seems like Xhaka is making space to me personally. I agree somewhat with that. I think it's not a sideways signing, but a sideways signing in that I'm a fan of Neves. I want Neves. I think this guy is certified. I think we could do a lot with him. I think we could do a lot better, but we could do a lot worse. I like his mentality. When I look at him, you know, he's been playing since 17, 18 at Porto, and then he's been a relatively young man doing his thing at Wolves, in and amongst other players. I'm not saying he's amazing, but what I like about him is I see leadership qualities among everything. Look at our team now. We need leaders. We arguably need them early 20s leaders. You know, they're going to be, you know, when you look at someone like Tierney, if Odegaard, if he did come back, Neves, you know, Gabriel's 23, them man, they are still young, and maybe not so much Tierney, but somewhat inexperienced, but they're the leaders, they're the senior man amongst other people. So if you can grab a Neves where, he's 24 something years of age, forgive me if I'm wrong, maybe 25 max, he's got his best days in front of him, he's consistent, he doesn't do anything spectacular, but he's a good player. I think he's a relatively good passer. He's got a good range. I think his positioning is good. Like Xhaka, doesn't score too many, but when he does, it's a fantastic strike. He just does his job. I do think it is a bit of a sideways signing in that it's no disrespect to him, because I understand. Listen, if Xhaka's leaving, you need to bring someone else in. What I mean by Xhaka out, you in. I think he's better than Xhaka, but it's not a signing where you're like, yo, next level sort of thing. Which that doesn't have to be. If obviously we want man like that where we can look at and say they're gonna help us take it to a next level. But I think he's a decent signing. I think Neves has been an interesting one. I've got a lot of interesting responses from people like right now in the live. People I've been speaking to, my friends. A lot of people are on it. A lot of people don't mind it. Some people are against it. Nobody's right or wrong. This is football. Me personally, I'm for it because our squad is dying. We could do a lot worse. Obviously, with respect to Wolves, we're not in Europe, but Porto, nobody expected him to go to Wolves from Porto. Obviously, there was Portuguese links at Wolves. They're doing their thing, but I'm sure he wants to be back among playing in Europe's elite, playing in the best competitions, stuff that fans want to do, you know, remind the world how good he is and things like that. I don't mind that. And obviously, if we are going to do this, I would like it to be done before the Euros, because obviously, you know, the Euros is a funny time. If he plays rubbish, then we might say we're paying too much. We might actually be able to say, you know what, let's do it cheaper, which isn't sensible. And for me, if I'm a player, I don't want to be doing my future stuff during the Euros. Or suddenly, if you have a good Euros, there's an issue there. Do you get it? How, okay, Arsenal might have been in for him, and next team might take a chance. So it's an interesting one, man, and it's one where there's a lot of opinions. I don't think I'm seeing a lot of Basuma comments. Basuma and him are not the same person, so I wouldn't mind both of them. I think you need both of those profiles. I think he does everything minimum 6, 7 out of 10. He's an intelligent footballer, and for me, with Arteta, it goes somewhat to solving what I always get annoyed about: is what the hell is our midfield about? We're not mad defensive. We can't dictate the tempo. We ain't got techie man. We're not all mans to the pump. Like, you lot have possession, we'll just fight you in midfield. Our midfield, I don't know what it's about. And last time I checked, Mikel Arteta was a midfielder. He's arguably been about 2 different types of midfielder. He's probably more advanced in his early playing days. Definitely since he came to Arsenal, he was playing that withdrawn role. And I know it's not all him to do with transfers and stuff, but that is where I have an issue, because it's like, if he was a centre back, if you're a centre, think about it. If you're whatever team, you know, if Arteta was a centre half and our defense is looking shaky, surely I'm saying, what's going on? So it is what it is. DG coming clutch again. Needed this after this morning's meeting. Stylish. I appreciate. You know what? Yeah, I appreciate you when you talk about my football knowledge and all these things and stuff like that. And I'm always getting better. But for me, I judge what I do on value. And when I hear people saying, "Yo, I'm going jogging, gym. I've had personal tragedy. I've got meetings," just to know I'm providing some sort of quality time or some sort of value in some sort of window to you guys. It really does warm my heart. So I appreciate that. There's 300 odd of you locked in within this opening 10 minutes. Make sure you're hitting those like buttons, people. So yeah, it's an interesting one in relation to Neves, man. So yeah, apologies. Neves is 24. which again, that's not bad. Same age as Buendia. You know, certain people were saying Buendia is young. Now they're looking at it a bit shaky. So it is what it is. If Neves was going for 25 million, no one would complain, in my opinion. Probably. Neves is a quality player. We need a player like that. Buendia is a 10, but he says it himself, but it is what it is. He has predominantly played off the right. You're right. I don't blame Buendia, DG. Aston Villa have got a united plan, board, owners, and system while we still look at shambles on and off the field. Can't blame that. Neves isn't really the profile of player I want alongside Partey. Would prefer Basuma. Well, he's better with a football than Basuma. While I wouldn't mind 2 6s, I think he's, in terms of having an all-rounded partnership, they're probably a bit better. If he's going against a low block, do I think you need Partey and Basuma? Of course not. You need either or. So if I'm going against teams like City, for example, or Liverpool, where we're going to have less of possession, or potentially United away like last season, then I'm going with that. But that's my point. We need the option to say we're going with a Basuma and a Partey. We're going with none of them. We're going with a Neves and this guy. We don't have enough options in midfield according to what team we play. You get it, people? It's like if midfield were eating the same meal. When you eat the same meal, it starts to taste stale. You start to resent it. You start to hate it. It's not inspiring, you know, where rice might be the main dish, but 1 minute it's oxtail, it's curry goat, you know, it's jollof, you know, you're mixing it up rather than us. It's the same thing being served to us every week, and you can't do that going week in, week out in the Premier League. You need different options. There's 38 Premier League games. Now, we've got 40 games minimum next season. I say that because again, we don't go through in the first rounds of the cup. We're out. You know, I don't want that to be the case. So I do think this is a time to get things right. I don't think we're going to solve everything, fix every problem, but there needs to be a system, a way of playing, and a serious foundation being set, a serious reset. Will that happen? I don't know, people. And I don't agree with it. I agree with you, Danny. I don't agree with some of the comments. A lot of people giving grease to Neves, calling him a Xhaka. He's an absolute baller and he's still young. He'll come in well when he's surrounded by top talent in midfield like Jota at Liverpool. I mean, can you say he'll be surrounded by quality at Arsenal? I'm not sure, but 100% people are turning up their nose. Have you seen some of our midfield options? Our midfield is dire. That doesn't mean we have to be desperate for anyone, but you know, I don't mind Neves, innit? Like, I really don't mind Neves. I think he's a good player still. I'm behind this one. Like, is it the one I would like? Is it the top of the list? No. Is it them things? No. But I'm with it still. I can't lie. I'm with it. So yeah, man, let's share the screen up, people. Like, hit the like button. As I said, where are we at in terms of likes? You know, before I get into stuff, I've got to give you lot this, people. So yeah, 1 sec. Before we get into that, in fact, let me see where the likes are at. Likes button, we're at 116. It's great, but it could be 10 times better, people. Please make sure you're hitting the likes. We should at least be at 200. As usual, shout out the Twitch ones. But getting back to all of this, people, let's get back into this, as I said. Just my opinions, on Neves quickly. I like him because he can operate in a 2-man pivot, a 3-man pivot, and away from his midfield role, he can play in a back three. Now, I want Arsenal to play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 every day of the week, 9 times out of 10. But we have to be able to go with a back three or change things up. And he's shown me he's able to play in these systems and thrive. He's an intelligent footballer. I think people underestimate. Yeah, I want someone that's going to, you know, get bums on seats and flashy and makes me think, you know, I'm gassed to sign him and we're doing all these sort of makeshift partnerships and stuff. Of course, I want to sign in like that. But sometimes you need players that are just competent, consistent, and just make the right decisions, especially in midfield. Like, again, many people underestimate how much of a benefit having a midfielder who can just do the basics is. And what I think he has over someone like El Nene and potentially Xhaka is, if things can be done in 2 touch, he's trying to do it in 2 touch. Sometimes, you know, Xhaka is probably the best in our central midfielders, apart from Partey, in terms of playing the ball forward, but he needs 10 years. El Nene don't want to play it forward. So Bios wants to be a ballerina and he's not here. Joe Willock, we don't know what we're going to see next season. Do you get it? I want him part of the squad, but you get the point. So I do think people are selling him a bit short, in my opinion. He can build up play as well. It's almost, for me, this tells me it's a like for Xhaka in it. Whether that's because we can't find anyone else, maybe we've had him planned, I don't know. But this just tells me it's a like for Xhaka replacement. Like I said, he can build play. He's got a decent engine. You know, like Xhaka, he doesn't score too many, but when he does, it tends to be a spectacular one. He keeps things ticking in the midfield. He's got a good mentality. As I said, once in a while, he scores a good goal. I have seen, I've had moments seen from, I don't know what that means. I've seen, that should say, or one thing should say, I have seen a dip in form at times. He has dipped in form at times. I even think the season that's just gone, good passer, so good. So I said it twice. For 34 million, I don't mind, but I don't know what, I'm not sure what he's directly fixing. And this is when I look at what my team is now going to tell me what we're about. Because as a fan, I don't care about trusting process, the need for preseason, all of these things. They're all relevant. They're all needed. I'm not saying I don't care about them, but as a fan, my job is to support the team. Do listen to what you lot are saying in the week going into a game and seeing it. And I just knowing what my team, what you lot say in the press conferences, making sure it makes sense in when I'm looking on the pitch, because that don't lie in it. And as much as I like him and I wouldn't be against it, what is he directly fixing? You know, do I think, you know, I'm not saying this to sign him ahead of Basuma, but I know Basuma's a 6, so immediately you have the option of him and Partey or either or. You know, if you was to sign Aouar, I know he's a number 8 who's, you know, and can do the creative thing. If you sign Buendia, yeah, he can play off the right. I think long term he's a man to play next to Partey in the pivot, but he playing a 10. I know his creativity, and that's probably the one sort of X against his name. It's not really at him, it's more us. Bringing in Neves, what is he directly solving beyond just being a direct Xhaka replacement? That's just one. I think for what it would be, he's a good partner for Partey. I think he would let Partey venture forward and play more of a box-to-box ball-winning midfield sort of role versus this DM sort of stationary 6 thing. And I think he would have a better understanding with Xhaka than Neves. But saying that, Neves likes to get forward. And I think there's a lot of evolution in Neves' own game that could be done. Like I said, it's unclear how we would use Neves, because he can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. I wouldn't say 10, but you're not a 10, but you know, if you was to have a 3-man midfield, you have a box-to-box man and a ball-winning midfielder, and like just say Neves is there, I think, again, not a 10, but if he had creative freedom, I think he'll relish it. I'm not saying he should get that. I'm just saying it's unclear how we're going to use him. And as I was saying earlier, there's a bit of development to do in his part. And like I said, for me, if you give Neves a bit of freedom within a system, I think he'll work some magic. I think he really has got that captain's mindset. And again, he can take a set piece as well as score it. He's very vocal. And like I said, he could be a leader among the young ones and them things there. So I don't mind that. This is the first article from the Athletic people, this, or better yet, paragraph. It said, Arsenal are interested in Wolves midfielder Ruben Neves this summer. The Athletic understands that Arsenal are admirers of the 24-year-old and could move to signing from Wolves, where he has played since signing from Porto in 2017. Obviously, he's been there for what? That's 5 years. Forgive me if I'm 4 years. Apologies. Probably wants to try something. Probably not hit the projected heights. Many people, including myself, probably thought he would be doing at Wolves. Probably thought he wouldn't be there any longer. But their loss could be our gain. Obviously, he would fit alongside Partey potentially. And apparently, any move is likely to obviously deal with what's going on with Granit Xhaka, who looks like he could be departing the club and going to Roma. Apparently, contact has been made between the two clubs. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean there's a bid. That could be middlemen, intermediaries, or agents acting on behalf, because you have heard agents are trying to angle for a move for Neves. It looks like that system or that structure or that thing that Wolves were doing is kind of over now. I don't know, but you know what I mean, in that they were trying to have a project with Nuno. It looks like there's something different going on there, so maybe he wants to keep it moving, like you saw Jota. You know, between him and Adama, you'd imagine somebody is sold. Again, I don't know who they'd rather keep or whatever. Apparently Wolves are believed to be open to a sizable sale as they look to reshape their squad this summer under prospective new boss Bruno Laghi, who is set to be appointed in the coming days. Now, again, sizable sale, that 35+ million, you've got to make it worth their while. I'm pretty sure they don't want to sell him beyond it being a necessary evil to rebuild. So that's what the Athletic said. The Daily Mail said Arsenal set to swoop for 34 million rated Wolves star Ruben Neves, with Mikel Arteta looking to bolster his midfield options. And the Portugal star has told his teammates he wants to join the Gunners. 400 people locked in. Please make sure you're hitting that like button. Let's get to 400 likes, man. The goal is 200. But why not, man? You lot stop being lazy. Let me zoom in a bit, because that must be terrible for you lot, people. As we know, people are going back to Real Madrid. Torreira and Guendouzi could also depart. Arteta is keen on bolstering his numbers. Apparently, Wolves are braced for an offer from Arsenal this week for Ruben Neves. And one thing I'll give Arsenal, and I don't really like to praise us for transfers, the bid kind of comes last. We get encouragement, we speak to the middlemen, and then it comes. So the bid probably is coming, and it's an important week. As we know, Wolves are open to selling the man who's been there for 4 years. Again, last summer, they sold Diogo Jota for 41 million. Do I think Ruben Neves' fee should eclipse Diogo Jota? No, but again, it's going to be sizable because it's a Premier League club. We spoke about earlier in that if you want to sell upfront payments and making it worth their while, he's got 3 years left. Unlike Arsenal, they're in a strong negotiating position. You know, you could arguably say they could afford to hold on to him for another year, and then this time next year is where they solve a man's future. So we'll have to see, people. And once again, if you've got 30 odd million for that, surely you could have had it for Buendia. But apparently the 24-year-old has emerged as a target with central midfield, one of the positions Arsenal are aiming to strengthen ahead of next season. Sportsmail understands Neves is aware of Arsenal's interest and indicated his willingness to join the North Londoners to teammates. Brighton's Bissouma is another one on Arsenal's shortlist, which I'd love. And apparently, meanwhile, Arsenal and Jose Mourinho's Roma are in talks over a deal for Granit Xhaka, a regular last season whose departure could create a vacancy in Mikel Arteta's midfield. One does wonder, maybe, you know, Xhaka's leaving speeds up the process of bringing in people, bringing in a midfielder or whatever, people. Apparently, Pedro Neto and Adama Traore also thought to be available for transfer. I mean, I was telling you about Pedro Neto years ago. I wouldn't even mind him, but again, going to cost the arm and the leg. As we know, Neves has been a central figure to them. They paid 15.8 million on him, you know, paying 35. Well, it's a decent profit, but it's hardly life-changing for him. And as we know, he signed a new year long-term deal with them, people. So that's what the Athletic have had their piece. Daily Mail have said their piece there, as you lot can see, people. Wolves have set the Metro has said Wolves set asking price for Arsenal to sign Ruben Neves after he approves the transfer. We'll have to pay 35 million in that regards, people. And maybe Wolves are on this. We'll give you 35 million, but it's cash converters, bright house payments. Maybe not. They want upfront, kind of more upfront structures for fees, kind of what I believe Norwich wanted with Buendia, where Aston Villa were able to meet it and we were acting. Obviously, we've seen it with Zaha, and there's probably been a couple of others, people. Apparently, like we said, he's told teammates, but we must obviously slump up 35 million. I can't lie. I do think he's probably a better partner for Partey in what I want throughout a 38-game period. Like, I would rather someone different to Partey with him than a Bissouma and a Partey, but I more want Bissouma over Neves, if that makes sense, especially if we're looking at 35 million, which surely is enough to grab Bissouma and could have grabbed Buendia. As you lot know, once again, things need to change and change fast, people, because we have failed to qualify for Europe since 1996. Young DG was a year old out there, people, fresh out of North Middlesex Hospital a year into this world, and I'm now 26, so tells you everything, people. But that's that in relation to Neves. Is there anything else in relation to Neves? I think that one in particular with Ruben Neves, before we talk about some other stuff, I think that's that, people. But yeah, man, like I said, the main gist is the asking price is 35 million. Like Bissouma, he's told his teammates he's on this. But again, fundamentally, it comes down to putting the P's down. You put the P's down, you get the player. You don't put the P's down, you don't get the player, especially when it comes to negotiating with these Premier League teams, people. So we'll have to see what happens firmly in that regards, people. But time will tell, man. You know, give it, you know, I swear I said it to you lot yesterday, and you lot said it as well. How long before we're linked with Julian Brandt again? And you saw it in record time. We're linked once again with Julian Brandt. It might have to get to that. We might have to just do that one. I can't even cap to you lot, people. But yeah, man, I've done a lot of talking. Let me see what you lot are saying, man. Share on all platforms. You're right, man. 100%, 100%. What are you lot saying? Because no doubt there's a lot of players. Paul has said, don't believe any of these stories until the player has signed. This is Arsenal we are talking about. Don't be surprised if we sign no players. Very pessimistic from Paul. I think we will sign players, but I can't tell you not to do that, because that's what you've seen. I said his long shots. That's what I mean by he doesn't score many like Xhaka, but when he does, it's either a madness from a set piece or a long shot. But how many is he gonna do that? In your opinion, who do you think takes us to the next level? Well, the previous signings we've been linked with, man. Again, like, really, you know, for me, a right back first and foremost. But again, he can help us because Neves would be a good complementary option. Look at half of them Liverpool signings, you know. Not everybody has to be the man to shake things up, but I feel first and foremost we need to pattern the first 11. Like, for me, again, man, That's what we've got to do. If you're talking about next level and there was money weren't a thing and we had 30, 40 million and City, Real Madrid and these teams, then a man that was at Villarreal, Fabian Ruiz of Napoli, that's someone I would be putting down the piece for if we could, or if we, it is what it is, but that's a football manager signing. That's a dream chasing one, man. Hey, Deluded, big fan, just subscribed. How you a big fan if you just subscribed? Something sounds wassy there, you know, you're lying to man, but give love for the comment. You've said, I think if we get Neves and Odegaard, a right back and a left back, we're looking in good shape. Neves at least has some still, not afraid to get stuck in. That's why I'm on it, because he's about this. He's serious, man. You can tell he wants to be serious about things. And it's a bit like Matt Ryan. Again, are these players smashing up the world and things? Probably not, but I just want guys that I can look at you and I can tell you are behaving in a certain sort of way when the cameras are off. I don't like these volatile players we've got where Arteta has to gas, for all Arteta's fault, he has to gas them about wanting to be winners and be consistent, you know, and then the next week they've kind of forgotten all of it. I want people who have a sense of urgency, who recognize footballers' careers are short. I'm trying to do serious things. I'm trying to leave my own legacy in my own little way, because I see that at plenty of other clubs. I don't see that at allegedly one of the biggest clubs in England, and it breaks my heart, because that's the minimum. I find myself praising players for working hard, for dying for the badge, for dying for themselves, for having personal pride. All of these things I shouldn't praise you for. It's a minimum. You should have that. Do you think the Invincibles were praised for that? Yeah, they worked collectively, but you get the point, man. Big up DG. Hope your weekend was good. It was good, man. I kind of got to chill off a bit. I don't mind. I don't mind if it was a slow week. You know, I took a day off from you guys, but we're back again, man. Neves has better numbers in pretty much every department compared to Bissouma. Why fans are turning down Neves is beyond me. I agree with you, but stats without context mean nothing. And I think they're different players, but I do agree with what you're getting at, Smack, in that, you know, bro, man are turning up their play, turning up the man to him and then getting the other man. Perfect replacement for Xhaka, to be fair, could steady the engine room for us. And for me, he's a talker. I always sit here and I say to you, look, the best footballers are the ones that solve problems themselves. And I don't think enough men solve problems at this club themselves. You know, as much as I think Xhaka and David Luiz are men with many footballing faults and had their issues, I could at least see in them trying to steer the ship. When we're losing, I see some players looking, when things are going wrong, when things are going right, better yet, everyone's at it. When things are looking shaky, I see some man looking at Saka, Smith Rowe and these guys, some man hiding behind David Luiz, you know, the David Luizes, the Xhakas, more so Smith Rowe and Saka and the young ones, they're standing up to be counted. Other men are hiding. Certain people don't know what's going on. Certain people are hiding behind the gaffer. Certain guys, you can tell they want the ground to open up. And that's not it, man. We need to be able to look adversity in the face, look setbacks back in the face and react. Because if you want to win a league, get top four, it's not going to be, and all these things, it's not going to be easy. When has someone in any walk of life had it easy in achieving their goals, like real stories? There's always that friction. There's been friction. There needs friction. We're in friction, in my opinion. And now it's the season for tough decisions. But again, do they look at it like this? I don't know, man. You'd have to tell me. A love for everybody locked in. 171 again. Make sure you're hitting.